Really?
I believe you're still in love with Mariah, and you have not yet faced that
I
reality.
said I'm in love with Mariah, and I said I feel like I always will be.
The reason you have all these different homes, good brother, is because you're running from that spiritual maturity that you need to develop to be 100% present in the life of one of these women. Collectively, they might make a Mariah.
Ooh.
That might be Mariah Pie.
I see what you did there,
All
Doc.
those women, look, I caught him. All those women is Mariah Pie. They are each a slice of Mariah.
Session number 2. A safe space and a brave place. We are having some very vulnerable conversations with the amazing and honorable Dr. Umar Johnson. Normally, we see you speaking on things specifically about the Pan-Africanism, being the King Kong of consciousness. But today we're digging a little deeper, being a little more intimate, and picking up where we left off, where we were, having a brother-to-brother conversation about relationships, specifically marriage, high value, high functioning. And we got to the space with me being a divorced man in his 40s, of my ideal of desiring my ex-wife still, which I said it can't be. Of course, I will forever love her. I will forever be in love with her. But I have to zoom out and acknowledge many other things just as a man.
True, but did you process all that needed to be processed to if we don't leave a situation the right way, sometimes we can never heal from it.
100%. And I'm continuing to be I'm in therapy right now.
Right. But I'm saying there may have been a lot left on the table there.
100%.
That needs to be processed.
So let's speak of that, because I know I'm not the only one.
I mean, on an unconscious level.
Right.
It could be possible that the reason you haven't given any other queens a chance at your heart is because you need her to know that if she ever wants it back, it's available.
That's a tough one. I would offer this up, because my mind doesn't go that.
You notice how you say it's a tough one without answering?
No, my mind no, because I don't want to say yes or no to that.
Understood.
Because where my mind actually
but
does
it's a possibility.
There's what I do feel is, and I've said this to every woman since my ex-wife, is that I'm broken. Therefore, which makes me emotionally unavailable.
And that sends out a signal to them that you should not expect me to be emotionally available, because I'm telling you right now I'm broken, which is your cold word to them that you're not getting my heart.
Partly. But you're not getting my heart because I'm still over here. That's not what it is. Because I genuinely
That's not what you're saying, but I think that's what it is.
Really?
I believe you're still in love with Mariah, and you have not yet faced that reality.
I said I'm in love with Mariah, and I said I feel like I always will be. But let's go back before I had the opportunity to marry my dream girl, Mariah Carey. And if we really
who was my dream girl too,
but I got her. But I'll give you this, because this is what I struggle with throughout my marriage. This is what I struggle with still to this day. And this is what I struggled with before I got married. My own personal identity, in the sense of who I am and what is my purpose as a man on this planet. And I would probably say, I'm pretty sure there's so many young brothers that feel this way, because we're taught, go out and get it. Go out and hustle by any means. And if you do, during this process, find a helpmate that you are equally yoked with, take her along on your journey to build your kingdom. So if most of my life I'm building my kingdom on my own, and I'm focused and I'm reaching these levels of success to where I am enjoying the man that I am becoming. And that I'm taught that women are only a hindrance, or most women are out to get you for your money, or most women are going to be your downfall, is what I've been indoctrinated with during my journey. When I
Question:
get
your
the
mother and father, did you live in the household with both of them?
never, never,
Okay,
never.
okay,
Now I lived
okay,
in a household with both my grandmother and grandfather. Again, you got to remember my parents were teenagers when
okay.
they conceived
Understood.
me. But
Okay,
so going back to that sense of being as a teenager myself on a pathway to being the head of the household, being the patriarch of my family, being one that has so much on his shoulders,
Mhm.
and willingly taking on this assignment,
Yes.
um, and putting my heart secondary,
Okay,
or even also enjoying the ideas of being a player and
okay.
being a man that can provide for many.
Point of clarity.
Yes.
You lived with your grandparents.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever live under the same roof with mom?
Absolutely.
Okay. Was mom with grandparents as well? Was it all four of y'all?
No. And my mom had her crib. My dad had a separate family in North Carolina, and my grandparents had their house.
Okay. When did you move from grandparent to mom?
It was always back and forth.
It was always back and
Always
forth.
back and forth, which a lot of my abandonment issues are established in that sense, because I figured this out in therapy as well. What I've often realized is that I've always protected my heart because I love for the moment. Because at any moment in my life, I could have to root up and be living with a completely different individual, or even from weekends to however over here to there. I'm always having to say, I'm gonna love hard as much as I can, get as much as I can here, because I know I got to go over here for a few days and
Yes.
get that same amount. So through therapy, I realized that has definitely created the individual that I am, that gives me those detachment
Yes, sir.
abilities and also those abandonment issues.
And I would say with that, you have a romantic fight or flight response
Absolutely.
that's more oriented to flight.
Absolutely.
The minute the conflict come,
I'm out.
I'm out.
Absolutely.
You don't stay and fight for love. You don't stay and fight for the
Why would I
relationship.
stay and fight, Doc?
Stay with me. And because of that early abandonment,
Okay.
I believe that, number one, as much as you love your mother,
Mm-hmm.
however so this happened, you picked up a belief that loving a woman can be painful. It can be detrimental to my health. Your mother's lack of availability made you fearful of commitment to women emotionally. It's one of the reasons you're guarded.
Nah, I wouldn't say that. I was gonna go with you with the love can be painful
Yes.
aspect, but me and my mother have such a great relationship that even what I did witness my mother experience quite a lot of pain from other men, and
And this is part of my point too.
right,
The examples you saw
right,
were not always healthy.
right.
And those examples you saw that were not always healthy crystallized in you as core beliefs about love.
100%. Because
Right.
even to this day, if we're going to zoom out in the bigger picture, even the statistics show it. I haven't seen a lot of healthy traditional relationships. Like you got to think too. I come from the school of thought, like, I've never met a faithful monogamous man,
Okay.
because we can all throw up the facade like that. Oh, this person, but. And again, because I don't want to generalize, I don't want to mess up nobody's house.
Yes, yes,
but the majority of men that I've witnessed at some point in time have done something unhealthy
Okay.
in their relationship.
Which may be true, but if they stayed and fought for that relationship, then ultimately I would still consider it a healthy relationship.
So what you're telling me is, as long as you stay, is healthy.
No, if you stayed and if this is where your heart was, and if you was honest in loving that woman, the fact that you made a mistake is not the final assessment of that relationship.
But what is the mistake?
But the thing for you though, Brother Nick, I feel
Mm-hmm.
that you have an internal bias where you're constantly looking for real world examples to corroborate and support your dysfunctional core belief that a healthy, sustainable, loving, and intimate relationship with a woman for you is an impossibility.
Nah, I don't.
Were you emotionally available to Sister Mariah?
Yes.
You were.
Yeah.
I believe you want her back. You do.
I wouldn't say that.
Yes, I'm saying it. Because this is what I do. And everybody sitting here agrees. There's not a Negro in this room. And I believe that's where you want to be.
I feel like we're in different spaces in life.
That ain't got nothing to do with you wanting her. That ain't got nothing. You see?
I disagree though.
If I'm still in love with a woman, it don't mean I can have her. And we might be at different spaces in life, but that don't mean you don't want her back.
Okay, so
you're still there.
And
that's why nobody else can get a piece of your heart because it belongs to Mariah.
We're in a safe space, right? We being vulnerable,
absolutely.
Right? We just can't.
We in the man cave.
I don't want to start shit that I don't need to start. So ultimately, what I'll say, I divorced my wife.
You initiated.
Yes.
Why?
So in that, because it goes back to what I was saying before, where I was talking about the man that I am.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is, years of therapy. The man that I am and the man that I was before I was married, I feel like I lost my identity and who I was once I became
a husband.
And the husband I became was Mr. Mariah Carey.
So are you telling me that you let the public's opinion influence how you function in your marriage?
It wasn't the public's opinion, but that was part of it because it wasn't. I could care less about
Understood.
what people thought.
But because of who she is, you knew going in.
Because I didn't feel like a man.
Because of what?
So many things. Initially.
Give me two things.
Financially.
But you knew going in.
Yeah. Did I go in with the right intentions?
Did you?
I had to ask myself those questions.
Did you?
I believe I went in for love, but in the sense of what my life, because you got to think at the time, I'm a man in my 20s.
Mm-hmm.
I'm enamored. Mm-hmm. I'm in awe of the greatest presence of a woman that I have ever witnessed.
Yes, sir.
And so I could have been clouded by just the idea of love. The hopeless romantic in me was like, I got to get this right. I got to figure this. This is a blessing from the Most High, regardless of what the scenario was. So, again, in spending time and figuring out, man, was I blinded by the idea?
What's the age gap? How many years?
About a decade.
Okay. Is it possible that you didn't believe you deserved her?
Absolutely. 100%.
So there was a self-esteem piece.
That's what I'm saying. That's where I'm going back to. Okay. On many levels of this is someone that is out of my league. This is someone that is more mature than I am. This is someone who has all the things she desires in life is completely different than my desires. So then, therefore, when I'm in this scenario, I'm like, ooh, am I losing myself? So in that, and I'll take it this one step further, because then we'll go to those spaces of once I did come out of the marriage, my behavior then became to prove all of those things that I may have feared within my marriage, is that I can provide, I can do for others in an abundant way. So therefore, possibly being the reasons why I choose multiple partners and choose to take care of multiple people and create such a vast and large family.
What is the reason?
Because I wanted to prove to myself that I could do it.
Okay.
Because for so much time I didn't have to. So as someone who has
So
now
are you saying that?
reached spaces of my financial ability
Okay.
and even just what the definition of a man is, if that energy for a certain amount of time has been stifled or muted, when I come out of that, I wanna be the biggest lion in the jungle. I want to be able to roam and procreate
So
and
are you one of those men who feel that if I am not dependent upon
mm,
completely or disproportionately by my woman, part of my security as a man is knowing you need me?
mm,
Do you feel that part of your inadequacy in your marriage was due to the fact that you didn't feel needed enough by your spouse?
absolutely, 100%.
But wouldn't you also have to agree that that was a bit immature and archaic?
Absolutely. At this point, hindsight. But it also, because I think even before my marriage and even more, it enhanced after my marriage, that I've always had a king complex.
What you
And
mean by that?
that I'm looking to build a kingdom.
Okay.
I'm looking to be um, regal in that sense of I need my queen, I
Okay.
need my court,
Okay.
and even like we often talk about it in that sense. I think there's many men out there that believe that whether it's the hierarchy infrastructure or the order of the household, how we are aligned, the man is the patriarch, and
Okay.
therefore I have the ability to in my goal, the reason why I wake up in the morning and grind so hard is so that I can continue to enlarge my territory, so I can continue to build my kingdom, whether it's from biblical proportions or not. It's the idea of I'm a king, I have to walk in this way, and anytime my kingdom is challenged, therefore I can't be a part of that scenario.
Your own inadequacies ran you away from your marriage.
100%.
Did you seek therapy before you ended it?
Yes. Because, and then again, because what I would like, even we talked about this in our last session and even in this session, because I feel like when we're in scenarios and emotions are
Mm-hmm.
so heightened, we can't see the forest for the trees. We can't, we get so bogged down in the passion and the love, and I got to make this decision, I got to say this, I have to do this, that we make decisions based off of emotion. We shouldn't. You know what I mean? And went through therapy, we learned that we have to do. But I would, as hindsight, there's a lot of things I would probably do differently, specifically when it comes to that. But I know there's just like other men out there. I had and still have so many self-esteem issues, so many insecurities. And when those things are heightened at a level, when they're amplified and magnified, like in my lifestyle, then it's like I'm just seeking peace. So when you get to that space of like, where can I just find inner peace and comfort in who I am?
And you don't feel that you can find that inner peace and comfort within the confines of a committed relationship?
Not at this point. Nah, I'm too far.
So
I'm too deep
basic.
into the water.
Okay. So at a certain perspective, it even sounds like what you're saying is one of the reasons you don't commit is not because you feel the women are less than.
Definitely not.
You don't commit because you feel inadequate in being able to perform within that relationship as a husband should.
Absolutely. That's a more accurate that I could, when it comes, and probably that's probably what I would have loved to have said to Dr. Bryant, because it's not about the mothers of my children being low
I
functioning.
didn't agree with that.
Yeah, I
I
believe
didn't agree with that.
I'm the low functioning individual, and I can own that and accept that, to where, to what you just said, is like I don't have the ability. And even when we're talking about the manipulation thing, the manipulation was just from the purposes of because I wanted to be loved. So therefore, I want you to love me so much that I will do and say whatever you desire to put on that cape or that cloak to appear to be.
But I'm not going to reciprocate
But
the
I'm not
love.
going to reciprocate.
So in other words, you are a spiritual vampire.
I'll take it. I'll take it.
Okay. But I don't want you to stay
Call
there,
me Blade.
though. Okay. But with that being said, though, are you willing to face your insecurities, vulnerabilities, dysfunctionalities, so you can one day be the very thing that you don't think you're capable of?
I don't. But why?
Because you almost have a self-defeatist attitude towards romance and being adequate as a husband.
But if I don't want to be a husband,
But you're too young, Nick, to be checking out of the possibility of a fulfilling relationship with a woman.
but at this point, I mean, clearly my life is my life. You know what I mean?
Because the fame and the success
not even
will only be able to distract you, but so long.
Yeah.
At some point,
yeah.
at some point, you're going to get to a place where you're going to be like, damn, or I let my whole life go by and I never gave myself a chance at an authentic loving relationship post-marriage. Unless one day you're going back to Mariah if she wants you. So listen, you either going back to that or you're going forward to something new.
Why can't I just be single and content and focus on being a great
Because
father?
you just said you manipulate them into loving you, so you definitely want love.
I've said I've done
You
that.
definitely want love. And
We
you
all
said you're a
want love.
hopeless romantic.
Yeah,
that means you want love.
I do.
So help me explain these two competing ideas of you checking out from, at this point in my life, I don't need it anymore. Help me understand that within the context of you being a hopeless romantic and manipulating women to love you.
Because I have the ability, and I've been put in a position, having that king complex, that I can love and provide and be a part of multiple situations.
But do you recognize that you're being spiritually and emotionally underfulfilled by not allowing yourself to be properly loved? I don't think you see it because you're in the hustle and bustle of career in life. I don't think you sit still long enough to really see how you're missing out, because we as men, right? I'm going to divine design. We're engineered to need a woman to fill us up. They replenish us. So no matter how you cut the cake, you have a large emptiness within you as it relates to love and intimacy.
Okay.
And I think you do a good job of distracting yourself from that fact. My question is, how long are you going to do this before you face your demons and man the fuck up?
I would say first of all, the women that do love me at the highest level. In their ability, they attempt and desire to give me their all.
Okay.
And I'm grateful and appreciative to that. And I understand and recognize that. And I also understand that that's not the typical infrastructure or microcosm of a relationship.
Okay.
Therefore, I enjoy the life that I have. I enjoy the way love comes to the direction to me at this point in my life. I love every experience that I've had. I love every new experience that is in front of me. And so in that manning up concept, I believe I'm manning up on every level because I'm not desiring I've had the interaction with just one individual and we're pouring. I've had it. I no longer desire that. What I enjoy and desire currently is the space in which the people who are willing to make the sacrifice and love me the way that they love me now.
So are you getting a little bit of love from each woman that ultimately equals, in your mind, a full plate of the intimacy that you need? Are they all contributing a piece?
I want to say yes. I think it's a little more complex than that.
Okay.
I think, again, going back to the king complex, I know it's a complex
Mhm.
of there's something within me that believes I have enough to sustain loving relationships with more than one person.
And you're comfortable with just enough from each of the women, because as long as they only give you a piece, you never have to give any of them your whole heart. So you're still
Sound like I
running
mastered
and
the game.
playing hot. Do you see how fame and success have enabled you to not confront those lifelong issues you had so that you can ultimately be what a woman would need?
Absolutely. And I like it.
No, you like what? Give me that.
I like, because you got to think, if we take it all the way back to
Yes, sir.
childhood, the thing
Yes,
that
sir.
I've been desiring all my life is that fame, that fortune, that success in that space to allow me to maneuver throughout this world the way that I want to.
But you're still maneuvering throughout this world as you want to, as a scared child.
I'm fine with that.
Your inner child. Listen, when we're born, we
Yes.
all have an inner child. Everybody, I got one.
Indeed.
That inner child has a memory of every trauma, drama, disappointment, butt whipping, spanking, bully episode. It remembers it all.
Yes.
Part of becoming an adult, because remember, we all have a physical age,
Yeah.
and we all have an emotional age.
Absolutely.
You follow me?
Yeah.
And if you're dysfunctional,
Yeah.
your emotional age is much lower than your physical.
100%.
Nick Cannon is living through his inner child.
I might be living
more
through my
than
inner
his spiritual
adolescent.
man. Okay, or your inner adolescent.
Yeah.
But more than your spiritual man.
100%.
Exactly.
100%.
That ain't the way it's supposed to be. And you're going to lose in the end if you don't.
What am I going to lose?
Because ultimately, you were sent into this world by supreme consciousness to fulfill a mission.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be difficult to fulfill whatever that mission is that the Almighty gave you if you don't confront your demons along the path. In other words, there will be karmic debts, Nick, that you will have to pay because you never faced your psychological demons from past and present in order for you to be the man of the future that a woman would
But
be.
I'm willing to face and acknowledge all of those things. And who's to say just because I'm not interested in a traditional relationship
It could
with
be
a woman.
non-traditional. I don't care if it's traditional or non-traditional. You're not ready to give her a chance to love you because you're not going to love her. See, you're not going to reciprocate.
But I've done
so
that already.
You build relationships
that
don't require you to reciprocate.
And I'm fine with that.
That is unhealthy, though, Nick. It's unhealthy.
In
and
what
I think
sense?
part of it in every sense, because you're not filling them up. The reason you have all these different homes, good brother, is because you're running from that spiritual maturity that you need to develop to be 100% present in the life of one of these women.
So what you're saying is that a man to be spiritually mature at the highest level,
you stay there and you fight through the issues that come with love, and you don't run at the first sign of a challenge.
But if I'm working through and I'm willing to say I'm willing to stay.
You're not working through.
No, because I'm saying in this setting now, like I'm willing and thinking like if I'm working through it, because the goal is, if we go back to properly loving someone, if I feel like I have the ability to do that to multiple people, That may be an inner child or even an adolescent thought. But if I'm comfortable in that space,
How many boys do you have?
7.
So you have mostly boys.
Yeah.
Okay. Because now we have to look at this intergenerationally.
Yes.
If the father
Yes.
is modeling dysfunctional
Right.
romantic patterns, you have 7 sons. That's 7 kingdoms.
Right.
That's 7 nations
Right.
that you're responsible for.
Yes.
So this is bigger than Nick Cannon.
Absolutely.
Are you comfortable knowing that your sons may take your example into the future for generations to come?
Yeah.
And you're fine with them taking your example.
Now, you might have had me stumped if you would ask me about my 5 daughters. But my 7 sons, to function from the principles in which I operate.
Romantically only.
Absolutely.
You're fine with that.
Very fine.
So you don't mind if
I'll
they
tell
create.
you, Doc, I feel like I've mastered the game.
So you're okay with your sons creating dysfunctional patterns in the lives of women
See, no,
for your grandchildren,
I don't
and then your great-grandchildren,
because I wouldn't.
and then your great. Do you want your legacy to be, Brother Nick, 50, 75 years from now, that you were the great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather of a kingdom of dysfunction that's about 20 generations deep?
But who's to say my kingdom is a kingdom of dysfunction just based off of how society sees my lifestyle? Because if you're talking, again, we can go from the conversation about love and desire within myself to then dysfunction. That goes back to these high functioning and high value conversations.
No, I don't. By dysfunction, I mean you have children in different households
Right.
with different women.
Right.
That is not the ideal structure for a child in which to grow. They don't have access, all of them equally at the same time, because you're not in the same house. They don't have access to your loving care equally all the time at the same time, because you're not in a committed relationship with any of their mothers.
There's so much.
True or false? Mostly true.
I'll say true.
Right.
But
do you want that pattern replicated for your descendants? Or would you much rather your sons be in committed relationships, even if they polygynous? I don't care if they got 3 women.
So, because again, that's where, again, we go households and it gets in my mind, you know what I mean? Because I'm not even care less about others' opinions. But when I talk about households, king complex, I believe I'm fully present in all of my households. Others may disagree. But again, when we go back, when we talk about presence and fathers being present in what they can and cannot do, I will hold myself up to anyone because my goal and my ability is to be that present. And that's, again, I know
and
people,
you don't see any obstacles.
And not at this point. I know because we're all going to have obstacles. Every household has obstacles. I know there's traditional households where there's a dysfunctioning alcoholic that is there every day.
Talk about the dysfunction.
No, but I'm saying in that sense, because if we're talking what I believe I am, I believe I am a high functioning father on multiple levels, from being present as a coach, being present as a teacher, being present as an educator.
And is your example to your children in that you are not in a committed relationship to their mother?
I believe I am in a committed relationship to their mother. It may not be the traditional,
an emotionally reciprocal one, even though you said you are not available to reciprocate
love. But that's just me being honest and vulnerable. Because
but you're not in the house and you're not emotionally available.
I believe
How can that be ideal?
I believe because, again, if we're just breaking down the ideas, I truly believe that I am present and I am attempting to exude as much love that I possibly can give
to the mothers. Because you said you were emotionally unavailable.
I said when it's times of conflict. I still say, I remember we talked about the 5 love languages. When we talked, and I said the one thing that I lack is quality time. And that's because I acknowledge that I am spread thin. But everything else, I am willing to give. And just be like you said, whether it's in polygyny or not, if I'm fulfilling a woman to a point where she's committed and satisfied.
But there's no way you can if you are emotionally unavailable to her, unless
Because
she is what I said earlier,
the same as
a
me.
reflection of you, a serial monogamous with narcissistic tendencies. Then she's not looking for no emotional reciprocity because she ain't giving you no emotional reciprocity herself.
Yeah, I would disagree in the sense to where I feel.
Are any of the mothers of your children serial monogamous with narcissistic tendencies? Are any of them reflections of you, whereby you don't have to invest much emotionally because they don't want it?
No.
Or did they? So they all wanted more then?
Yeah. I definitely.
And they didn't get more.
I think I'm giving as much as I possibly can.
No, that's denial. That's not true. If I was to interview them, they would say otherwise.
But again, I let them speak for themselves. But I believe I'm in very healthy emotional interactions with.
I believe
with the mothers of my
a
children.
lot of your defensive answers in this conversation.
I'm not trying to be defensive.
No.
I'm literally taking the time to be open and vulnerable.
They bear
the
suggestion of narcissistic personality disorder.
Oh, I 100%. I've been diagnosed. I understand and accept that I am a narcissist with outrage.
Oh my God.
I have no rage in me whatsoever.
Lock his ass up.
But I am definitely.
Somebody put this spiritual vampire.
I am definitely a narcissist in that sense.
Lord.
But one of the things I'm working on is that
Mariah, I'm blaming you for this, my beautiful African queen.
I have no reason to always be right. I'm willing to learn. I'm willing to understand.
My working hypothesis is that you very much want your marriage back.
I don't.
And that you are keeping yourself available if when
you know me.
that opportunity
if that was the
comes.
case, I would agree with you. In front of the world, I would have.
Well, early in the conversation, you kind of did. You hesitated when I brought it up.
No, I hesitated because I was thinking about it in that sense because I'm trying to give you a real and honest answer. Mm-hmm. I sincerely believe that now that was, I'm past that point in my life.
I don't know about that.
And I legitimately love my life now.
No, loving your life has nothing to do with you still wanting your ex-wife. You can love your life and still want your ex-wife.
Why can't I want my ex-wife and all my current wives? like
you might, but it very well, it could also be that all the current women you have, and they're not wives because you're not emotionally invested in them, all the current women you have,
I could call them all my
collectively,
wives.
they might make a Mariah.
Ooh.
That might be Mariah Pie.
I see what you did there,
all those women, look, I caught him. All those women is Mariah Pie. They are each a slice of Mariah. But remember, the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. So even if they are all a slice of Mariah, they're not Mariah.
Let's take the heat off me for a second.
Okay.
Are we saying that as we wrap this up,
yes, sir,
and prepare for our next session, are we saying that divorced man, once he's stepped out of that, from that point on, he is always looking to get back? And
no, but you are, because as you admitted, you left a lot on the table, a lot to be processed there. And when you spoke of her, the energy with which you spoke of Sister Mariah to me clearly suggests unfinished business.
Unfinished business
Unfinished
indeed,
business.
ladies and gentlemen.
I would love to do a therapy session with you and her.
I bet you would. Call her when you can set that up. I'll show up.
I bet you I get everything out of that session.
Well, you know what? This has been an amazing session.
Yes, sir. Yes,
I feel
sir.
like it's all been all on me. I was trying to make it about my brothers out there as well, but this was just all
the
on
universe.
me.
But I think they will learn from it.
Yeah.
Because I think there's a lot of men out there who've been through that similar thing of a divorce, still in love with that woman, trying to move on, and not realizing how those unmet needs of that relationship are playing out in their current situations.
Well, there you have it. Those are wise words. I've still got a lot of growing, unpacking, and therapy to go. We got another session coming up with the good Dr. Umar Johnson. Man, this was a heavy one. Like, subscribe, Counsel Culture.
That was real therapy there. That was real therapy.